I am Alexis Fairchild, 28 years old. 3 days ago, my parents texted me not to come to their 35th wedding anniversary gala. It was only for elite guests at the private marina in Stamford, the kind with a guarded gate and valet parking that smells like salt water and expensive cologne. My mom's words were sharp and final, like she was closing a bad deal. "You'll make everyone uncomfortable." So I spent the evening alone in my tiny studio apartment in Stamford, watching strangers celebrate through my window while my family toasted champagne on a lit-up yacht without me. From my fire escape, I could see the soft glow of dock lights across the water and hear distant laughter carried over the sound like it didn't belong to me. At exactly the moment the gala peaked, my phone rang. My sister Caitlin, her voice shaking, said, "Alexis, what did you do? Mom and Dad just saw something and they're not okay. Everything's falling apart. What the hell did you do?" The something she was talking about was the news that hit right then. My company, ValueCore, had just launched with a massive letter of intent valuation, making me one of the youngest women in yacht tech to hit it big. But the real shock was what came with it. Proof my sister had tried to take my work. Before I tell you what happened that night, please take a moment to like and subscribe if this hits home for you. To understand why they texted me not to come, I have to take you back to the beginning. We weren't just rich. We were old money Stamford, Connecticut, the kind where a certain last name still opens doors at the yacht club without anyone needing to ask. My family's brokerage firm had been buying, selling, and chartering luxury yachts for 50 years. It wasn't just a business, it was a brand, a reputation, a legacy built on polished teak decks and handwritten contracts with people who owned islands. The marina office had our name in brushed steel above the entrance, and every summer launch felt like a coronation. Caitlin was the chosen one, 6 years older than me. She grew up knowing exactly what fork to use at charity dinners, and how to make a room full of hedge fund managers feel like they were the most important person there. She wore linen dresses like armor and remembered every client's children's names. From the time she was 16, Dad took her to boat shows in Monaco and Fort Lauderdale. Mom introduced her to everyone as the future of the firm. By the time she was 25, she was already running client meetings while I was still figuring out linear algebra. Caitlin didn't just inherit the role. She was built for it. Effortless charm, perfect smile, the kind of person who could close a $20 million deal over lunch and make it look like a favor. I was different. I liked code more than cocktail hours. I spent summers in the lab at Stanford instead of on the water. When I got accepted, Mom smiled for the photos, then told a friend it was a phase. She said I'd grow out of it and come back to something useful, something that fit the family image. Dad nodded along, the way he always did when keeping the peace mattered more than telling the truth. They didn't come to my graduation. There was a yacht launch that weekend. Caitlin was presenting our new listing to a group of European buyers. "Networking is everything, sweetie," Mom explained over the phone. "You understand?" I understood. I understood when family dinners turned into strategy sessions about quarterly sales, and I sat quietly while they discussed hull designs and client egos. I understood when Dad introduced Caitlin to partners as the next generation and introduced me as our daughter who does computers. I understood when holiday cards arrived with photos of Caitlin on the deck of some new listing, and my name was a footnote. In our family, value was measured by how well you served the legacy. If you strengthened the brand, you mattered. If you threatened the image, even by being too quiet, too focused, too different, you became a problem to be managed. Caitlin strengthened it. I didn't. So I built something of my own. The firm was everything to them. It had survived recessions, market crashes, even a fire that took out half the docks in the 90s. Dad had spent his life keeping it afloat. Mom had spent hers making sure it looked good on the outside. They talked about it like a living thing, something that needed feeding, protecting, polishing. Caitlin was the perfect caretaker. She knew the names of every major broker on the East Coast, could spot a fake Rolex from across the room, and never missed a chance to remind people Whitaker yachts had been around since before most of them were born. I tried to fit in at first. I went to the yacht shows when I was home from college. I stood in the background while Caitlin worked the crowd, smiling when clients asked about me. "Oh, Alexis is in school," Mom would say, her voice light but edged with something else. "She's very bright, but you know how kids are." The implication was clear. My brightness didn't count, unless it served the firm. One summer, I offered to help with the website. The firm's site was stuck in the early 2000s. Slow loading, bad photos, no search function. I spent a week rebuilding it in my dorm room. When I showed Mom the prototype, she looked at it for 10 seconds and said, "We have people for that, darling. Don't waste your time." Caitlin laughed and added, "We need you at the launch party, not on the computer." That was the pattern. Every time I tried to contribute something real, it was dismissed. Every time I showed up to an event, I was told I was too quiet. Every time I talked about my classes, the conversation shifted back to the next listing or the next buyer. I stopped trying to explain. I stopped showing up to the dinners where I knew I'd be the afterthought. I stopped pretending the legacy was mine to carry. Instead, I started building something they couldn't touch, something that didn't need their approval, something that existed because of me, not in spite of me. The gap between us grew quietly. Caitlin climbed higher. I went deeper into code. Mom kept the family photo albums updated with Caitlin's successes. Dad kept the books balanced, and I kept my head down, telling myself it didn't matter. But it did. Every time I saw a photo of the family on the yacht without me, it hurt a little more. Every time Mom said legacy, like it was the only word that mattered, it felt like a door closing. Every time Caitlin got praised for being perfect, I felt smaller. In the end, I realized the truth they had been teaching me all along. In our family, value was measured by how well you served the legacy, and I had stopped serving it. Everything started to shift in the spring 3 years ago. I was 25, still crashing on a friend's couch near Stanford while I poured every spare hour into my laptop. The code was becoming something real, a system that could look at photos of a yacht's interior, engine logs, and market history, then spit out a valuation more accurate than any human appraiser I'd ever met. I called it Value Core. I didn't tell anyone in the family yet. I had started protecting it my way. Separate drives, encrypted backups, timestamped notes in private repos. I wasn't paranoid. I was careful. Mom called on a Tuesday afternoon. I was in the middle of debugging a model when her name lit up my screen. I answered. "Alexis, we need to talk about the firm," she said, her tone the same one she used when a client was wavering on a deal. "We're losing ground with investors. They want innovation. They want to see we're still the leader. Caitlin is under enormous pressure to keep our image intact. Your family needs you to step up." She didn't ask about my life or my work. She didn't say congratulations on anything I'd done. She just laid out the problem. The brokerage's reputation was slipping. New competitors were flashy. Old clients were asking questions. "They want something new to talk about," she said. "Something that proves we're ahead. You understand technology. You could help Caitlin present it properly." I heard the subtext. They didn't need me to build anything. They needed me to make the firm look modern, a prop, a talking point. I felt the old pull, the word family, the guilt that came with it. I told myself it was harmless. A few conversations, basic explanations, nothing that touched what I was really working on. "Okay," I said. "I'll help." Caitlin texted me the next morning. "This means a lot. Come to the marina Saturday. We'll go over it." I drove down. The office smelled like salt and fresh varnish, the kind of place where everything shiny was meant to distract you from whatever was hidden underneath. Caitlin hugged me when I walked in. Quick, professional, the kind of hug she gave clients. She led me to the conference room with the long table and windows overlooking the docks. Yachts bobbed in their slips, white hulls gleaming under the sun. She sat across from me, leather notebook open. "Tell me how this stuff works," she said. "The pricing, the analysis." I kept it surface level. I talked about how data from photos could detect wear on gel coat, how market trends could predict depreciation, how algorithms could compare similar vessels across regions. I showed her sample outputs on my laptop. Numbers, charts, nothing proprietary. No code, no backend, just concepts. She leaned forward, eyes bright. "This is perfect," she said. "Investors will eat this up." She took notes furiously. I noticed she wrote down phrases I hadn't said out loud before. Threaded valuation layers, words I'd used in my private notes. I brushed it off. Maybe coincidence. 2 weeks later, she called. "I need you at a pitch meeting. Just sit in the back. Be available if they ask questions." I went. The room was full of Boston money. Suits, expensive watches, people who bought yachts the way other people buy cars. Caitlin stood at the head of the table, clicking through a slide deck. "Whitaker Yachts is leading the industry in data-driven valuation," she said. "We're using advanced analytics to deliver real-time, accurate pricing that no one else can match." The slides had my frameworks, my terminology, my sample charts, cleaned up, but recognizable. One investor raised a hand. "Who developed this?" Caitlin smiled smoothly. "My sister Alexis has been helping with the technical side." Helping. The word landed like a slap. After the meeting, she walked me to the door. "That went well," she said. "Thanks for being there." She handed me a folder. "Standard NDA," she explained. "To protect the family business. Colors everything related to Whitaker Yachts. You understand?" I flipped through it. Non-disclosure on all proprietary information. "This protects me, too?" I asked. "Of course," she said. "We're family. We look out for each other." I signed because, at that moment, I still believed the word meant protection. The next few months felt like walking a tightrope. Caitlin kept asking for more. "Can you run numbers on this listing? Can you explain how the model handles depreciation?" I gave her outputs, summaries, never the source, never the heart of it. She kept using it. At a show in Newport, she presented slides with my exact phrasing, threaded valuation notes, word for word from my notes. The crowd applauded. She thanked the team, never my name. I started to feel the doubt settle in the questions. Why did she need so much? Why did the slides look so much like my work? But I pushed it down. They were desperate, I told myself. The firm was losing face with investors. They just needed enough to look like they were still leading. Once the reputation was safe, it would stop. That's what I kept telling myself. The doubt grew quieter, but it never went away. A few months later, the requests turned into demands. Caitlin called me on a Thursday evening. I was in the kitchen of my shared apartment, reheating leftovers, when my phone buzzed. "Alexis, we need the full system," she said. "No hello, no small talk. The investors are pulling back. We need to integrate your model into the firm. It's the only way to save our position." I set the plate down. "My model?" "Yes," she said. "The valuation tool you've been working on. We have to show them we're ahead. You signed the NDA. Everything related to the business belongs to us." I felt the air leave the room. "This isn't Whitaker work," I said. "This is my project. I built this before I ever consulted." She laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You consulted for us. You used our time, our resources. It's a conflict of interest if you keep it separate. Mom agrees. We need it now." I told her no. The next day, Mom called. Her voice was ice. "Alexis, your sister is right. You signed an agreement. You have a legal obligation to the family business. Don't make this difficult." I explained again. The NDA covered Whitaker proprietary information. It didn't cover my independent work. Mom cut me off. "Don't play lawyer with me. Family doesn't sue family. Give Caitlin the code and we can move forward." I said no again. Caitlin showed up at my apartment 2 days later. She didn't knock. She used the key Mom still had from when I was in college. She walked in heels, clicking on the tile, and sat on the couch like she owned the place. "We need the full system," she repeated. "Not summaries, not outputs, the code, the models, everything." I stood by the kitchen counter. "No." Her face hardened. "You're being selfish. The firm is struggling. Clients are leaving. Investors want to see innovation. If we don't deliver, we lose everything. Dad built this. Do you want that on your conscience?" I looked at her. "This is my work." She leaned forward. "It's family work now. You signed the NDA. If you don't hand it over, we'll have to take legal action. Conflict of interest. Breach of duty. You know how this looks." The threat hung there. Legal action from my own sister. I pressed record on my phone in my pocket. Connecticut is a one-party consent state. She kept talking. "You're putting your little side project over the legacy. Mom is right. You're making this hard for everyone. Just give us the code. We can integrate it. Put your name on it somewhere if that makes you feel better. But we need it." I didn't respond. I let her talk. Every word went on the recording. When she finished, she stood up. "Think about it. Don't make us do this the hard way." She left. The door closed softly. I sat down and listened to the audio. Her voice calm at first, then sharp. The threats. The flip that made me the problem. "You're being selfish. You're putting your side project over the legacy." It wasn't about saving the firm. It was about control. After that, the erasure became systematic. Emails from the firm stopped CCing me. Even the family updates, birthday reminders, holiday plans, vanished from my inbox. On social media, photos of yacht events went up without tags. My name disappeared from captions, from legacy slides Caitlin used in pitches. The section about next generation showed only her. My photo, my name, gone. Mom called a week later, her voice smooth but edged. "I know you're upset, but you have to understand. You make people uncomfortable. Your energy is heavy. Clients can feel it. It's better if you stay away for now, for everyone's sake." I didn't argue. I just listened. She continued. "The elite guests expect a certain atmosphere. Positive, upbeat. You don't fit that right now. It's not personal. It's business." I hung up. The realization settled in slowly. This wasn't anger. This wasn't disappointment. This was deliberate. They had turned me into the problem so they could justify removing me. No more invites, no more mentions, no more place at the table. It was clean, efficient, and it hurt more than any fight ever could. As the months passed, I pushed forward on my own. I stopped answering the occasional text from Caitlin asking for updates. I stopped explaining myself. Instead, I doubled down on Value Core. The beta phase started quietly. I partnered with 2 mid-sized yacht agencies on the East Coast. They fed me real listings, photos, maintenance logs, sales history. The model learned fast. Valuations came back within minutes, accurate to within 5% of final sale prices. The agencies were impressed. They started using it for internal pricing, then quietly for client reports. Word spread in the yacht world. Not loudly. These people don't shout about tools, but enough that more agencies reached out. By late fall, I had a letter of intent from a national group. They wanted exclusive rights for their network. The valuation attached to the LOI was higher than I expected, high enough to make headlines if it went public. I had started talking to a few people, lawyers who specialized in tech IP, a former professor who could verify timelines, a distant cousin who had seen one of Caitlin's pitch decks and kept a copy. I didn't tell them everything yet. I just gathered what I needed to make sure the truth could stand on its own. The night of the 35th anniversary gala arrived. I stayed in my studio. The room was dark except for the glow of my laptop. I opened Instagram. The stories were already rolling in. Caitlin's account first. The marina lit up like a movie set. White lights wrapped around every piling. A string quartet played on the main dock. Elite guests in black tie and evening gowns held champagne flutes, laughing, toasting. Mom in a silver gown. Dad in a tuxedo, shaking hands with men who owned fleets. Caitlin at the center, radiant, raising her glass to the camera. The caption celebrated 35 years of love and legacy. No mention of me. No empty chair. Just absence. I scrolled. More stories, more toasts, more photos of the yacht they had chartered for the night, the same one Dad had listed for sale last year. The guests looked happy, untouched. Then the notification hit. A Wall Street Journal alert. The article went live at the exact moment the gala reached its peak. Emerging yacht tech founder accuses sister of IP misappropriation in family brokerage. The headline was clinical. The content was not. They had everything. The patent filing dated months before my first consultation, timestamped notes showing development independent of Whitaker, the pitch deck Caitlin had sent to investors side by side with my early models. Cousin Nolan had provided it anonymously. He had passed on the investment but kept the file. Dr. Kendra Voss, my old Stanford advisor, had given a statement verifying the originality and timeline. This technology was developed solely by Alexis Fairchild during her independent research, she wrote. Any claims otherwise are unsupported. The article quoted the NDA and explained why it didn't cover my personal project. It quoted Caitlin's presentation slides. It quoted emails where she asked for more than basic concepts. It was airtight. Within minutes, the yacht world picked it up. Trade sites ran the story. Young founder takes on family firm in valuation tech dispute. Forums lit up. Brokers who had seen Caitlin's pitches started connecting dots. I refreshed the page. Comments poured in. This is why you document everything. Family business betrayal at its finest. Whitaker just lost credibility. My phone stayed silent for exactly 3 minutes. Then it started. Notifications, messages, emails, numbers I didn't recognize, journalists, old classmates, people I hadn't spoken to in years. I didn't answer any of them. I just watched the stories from the gala continue to post. Champagne, laughter, toasts. They hadn't seen it yet, but they would very soon. The calls started coming in almost immediately. My phone vibrated on the coffee table like it was trying to escape. First was Caitlin. I let it ring. Then Mom. Then numbers I didn't recognize. I turned the ringer off and watched the screen light up over and over. When I finally answered Caitlin, her voice was raw. "Alexis, what have you done?" she said. "You put everything in that article. You have no idea the damage. Investors are calling. They're pulling deals. The board is already scheduling emergency meetings. You need to fix this." I stayed silent. She kept going. "We can sue you. Defamation, breach of NDA. You violated the agreement. You think you're protected? You're not." Mom called next. Her tone was controlled fury. "Alexis, this is unforgivable. You humiliated the family, the firm. Your father is beside himself. You need to retract the story now, before it's too late." I didn't respond. I let her talk. Then I ended the call. The next morning, the fallout was public. Trade publications ran follow-ups. Whitaker Yachts faces major client exodus after IP allegations. Brokers who had been in talks for charters started canceling. One deal alone was worth $15 million in commissions. Another group pulled a $30 million fleet listing. The numbers added up fast. Tens of millions gone in days. The board moved quickly. They issued a statement. Whitaker Yachts takes these allegations seriously. An independent investigation has been launched. CEO Caitlin Whitaker has been placed on administrative leave pending review. Caitlin texted me that afternoon. "You happy now the board suspended me? They're talking about termination. This is on you." I didn't reply. Over the next few weeks, the investigation unfolded. Lawyers interviewed staff, reviewed emails, examined pitch decks. Nolan's copy of the deck was key. Side-by-side comparisons with my original models. The timeline was clear. My work came first. The board's final report was quiet, but damning. They found sufficient evidence of improper use of third-party intellectual property. Caitlin resigned before they could fire her. The announcement was brief. Caitlin Whitaker has stepped down to pursue other opportunities. The firm remains committed to integrity. No apology. Then Dad called. It was late. I was in bed, staring at the ceiling, when his name appeared on the screen. I answered on the fifth ring. "Alexis," he said. His voice sounded older, tired. "We need to talk." I waited. "I knew," he said. "I knew something wasn't right with Caitlin's presentations. I suspected it was your work." I said nothing. Silence. "I was afraid," he continued. "Afraid of what it would do to the firm, to your mother, to Caitlin. I thought if we just got through the quarter it would be fine. I told myself you'd understand, that you'd be okay." I didn't speak. "I was wrong," he said. "I let you be pushed out. I let them disinvite you from everything. I failed you. I'm sorry." The words hung there. "An apology doesn't change anything," I said quietly. "I know," he replied, "but I needed to say it. If you ever want to talk, I'm here." That was the last time I heard his voice. I went through my contacts and blocked every number. Caitlin, Mom, Dad, even distant relatives who might relay messages. I deleted emails, unfollowed accounts, removed myself from family group chats I hadn't been in for months. Anyway, I didn't do it in anger. I did it in clarity. There was no going back. No partial reconciliation. No, we can work through this. I cut them off completely. No meetings, no calls, no replies. The silence was final. And for the first time in years, it felt like freedom. 1 year later, looking back from my new apartment in Manhattan, ValueCore had grown beyond what I imagined. The letter of intent turned into a full partnership with a national yacht consortium. They rolled out the platform across their network, agencies from Miami to Seattle. Valuations that used to take days now happened in seconds. Clients loved it. Brokers trusted it. Revenue hit 8 figures in the first quarter. I hired a team, engineers, salespeople, a CFO who actually understood tech. We moved into an office in the Flatiron district. Whiteboards on every wall. No hierarchy. Just work that mattered. I stood at my window overlooking the city. Bay windows, hardwood floors, nothing fancy but mine. No family photos on the walls, no legacy plaques. Just a framed copy of the partnership agreement and a shot from my first team meeting. The Women in Business Summit came in February. 1,200 attendees in a Boston convention center. I was the keynote. Backstage, my hands shook. The MC announced me. Applause. I walked out under bright light, silhouettes in the dark. For years, I was told I made people uncomfortable, too quiet, too focused, not right for the family image. When they tried to take my work, I had a choice: stay silent or speak my truth. The room listened. I lost my old family, I said, but I no longer have to shrink myself to stay. Standing ovation, women on their feet, messages flooded in after. You gave me courage to protect my code. My brother took credit. I'm documenting now. Family said my startup was a hobby. Not anymore. I read them all. I responded to hundreds. File patents first. Never work free for family. Write boundaries on paper. Integrity costs relationships, but it's worth it. Caitlin's career stalled. No brokerage would touch her. The yacht world is small. Word spread. She tried consulting smaller firms. Nothing stuck. Last I heard, she was in real estate listings. Land, not water. Far from CEO dreams. Mom and Dad faded from elite circles. Country club whispers. Old clients drifted. The firm struggled. Sales down 25%. They brought in outsiders for management. Dad stepped back. Mom hosted fewer galas. Isolated in their mansion, the legacy cracked. No calls came through. I'd blocked them all. No visits, no messages. The cut was clean. I didn't check on them. I built instead. The partnership press conference was small. My team and journalists in the office. I stood with the consortium CEO. ValueCore delivers unmatched accuracy, he said. Cameras flashed. How does it feel? A reporter asked. Like justice, I replied. Not revenge. My work mattered when no one else saw it. The valuation doubled since launch. $4 billion projected, partnerships lined up. But success wasn't the point. Freedom was. A year before, I sat alone while they celebrated. Now my team filled my living room for holidays. Laughter, takeout, no expectations. Dr. Kendra texted from Stanford. Proud of you. Nolan emailed the board's report. They settled. Quiet. Dad tried once. Unknown number. Alexis, can we talk? Just us? I blocked it. Mom sent a handwritten letter. We miss you. The firm needs you. I put it in the trash. Caitlin's LinkedIn stayed frozen. No updates. I didn't gloat. I moved on. Lessons stuck hard. Patent before sharing anything. Never consult free for family. Boundaries on paper. Emails, recordings, ND, as you control. Blood ties break when legacy trumps truth. Cut them clean. Build your own circle. Your voice deserves space. Claim it. If this story resonates, share yours below. I read everyone.